In the dim glow of a Chicago bistro, he adjusted his tie like armor, four tiny tornadoes tugging at his legs. Daddy, why's the nice lady staring? While she smoothed her dress, heart whispering one real chance, never dreaming the mix-up would unravel them both into love's beautiful wreckage. Hey, beautiful souls tuning in, before we dive into this whirlwind of heartstrings and spaghetti stains, drop a comment. Where are you watching from tonight, and what's the clock saying where you are? Let's make this story feel like we're all on this blind date together. Vincent Russo stared at the cracked mirror in his Gold Coast penthouse bathroom, the one his late wife, Alina, had insisted on keeping because it made his eyes look like storm clouds, sexy, not scary. He ran a hand over the salt and pepper stubble shadowing his jaw, the scar from a long-ago knife fight pulling tight under his fingers. 42 years old, kingpin of Chicago's shadowed underbelly, and tonight, a blind date, his. Sister Rose's doing, of course. Vin, you're turning into a ghost. The girls need a mother, and you need life. He snorted, but the ache in his chest, the one that had hollowed him out 5 years ago when Alina's cancer twisted sharper. Life, as if he could afford it, with deals to broker and enemies circling like wolves. Downstairs, chaos reigned in the marble-floored living room, a far cry from the sleek black suits and whispered threats of his days. 4 identical faces peered up at him from the carpet, a whirlwind of dark curls and mismatched socks. The quadruplets Isabella, Sophia, Olivia, and Ava, 8 years old and born on the same stormy April night as their mother Fated, were piling pillows into a fortress. "Daddy, watch," Isabella bossed, her voice a pint-sized echo of Alina's command. Sophia hurled a stuffed bear at the tower's peak, giggling as it toppled. Olivia, the quiet artist, scribbled on the wall with a washable marker, "Family Adventure." Ava, the daredevil, climbed the coffee table, arms outstretched like wings. Vincent's lips twitched, a rare almost smile. These girls were his anchor and his undoing. Alina had called them his little empires, each fierce in her own way, but raising them alone, it was like herding lightning. The nanny had quit last week. Too much energy, Mr. Russo, they're whirlwinds. And tonight's backup, old Mrs. Kowalski from down the hall, had texted 5 minutes ago, "Sprained ankle, dear. Can't make it." He glanced at his watch. 7:15 p.m. The bistro reservation was for 8:00. No sitter, no escape. He could cancel, bury himself in work. Another shipment from the docks needed his sign-off, and Frankie, his underboss, was itching for a sit-down on that rival crew sniffing too close. But Rose's words clawed at him. Ghost. And the girls. They deserved more than a father who vanished into the shadows. "Daddy's gotta go out, Bellas," he said, kneeling to their level, his voice gravel-soft, the kind that made grown men flinch but melted his daughters like butter. He scooped Ava off the table before she face-planted. "Be good for Mrs. Number Lie." His mind raced. Pack them up. To a date? Insane. But the alternative was leaving them with Frankie, who treated bedtime like a mob hit, efficient but zero lullabies. Sophia tilted her head, all 4 mirroring the motion like synchronized swimmers. "Can we come, please? We promise not to eat the fancy bread." Isabella nodded vigorously, curls bouncing. Olivia held up her drawing, a stick figure family at a table, hearts doodled around them. Ava just hugged his neck, whispering, "Miss you already, Daddy." Vincent's throat tightened. Hearts. When was the last time he'd drawn one? He stood, decision crystallizing like frost on a windshield. "All right, Caros, but rules, no climbing chairs, no telling strangers Daddy's a superhero." Lies, all of it, but tonight maybe he could pretend to be just a dad. He herded them toward the door, grabbing coats and a diaper bag repurposed for crayons and goldfish crackers. As the elevator hummed downward, the city lights of Chicago smeared gold against the glass. He felt the weight. Protection wasn't just from bullets. It was from the loneliness gnawing him hollow. One night, what could go wrong? Across town, in a cramped Wicker Park apartment that smelled of chamomile tea and antiseptic wipes, souvenirs from her endless ER shifts, Mia Thompson smoothed the hem of her emerald dress, the one she'd bought on impulse after her last breakup. 28, with calloused hands from holding strangers' lives together and a heart bruised from stitching up her own dreams. Nursing at Mercy Hospital was her calling, but lately it felt like a curse. Last week she'd lost a kid in a car wreck, 8 years old, same as those phantom nieces she babysat in her quieter fantasies. "You're a fixer, Mia," her best friend Jess had said, shoving her into this blind date app. "Time to let someone fix you." She laughed at her reflection, auburn waves pinned back, freckles dusting her nose like cinnamon. "Fix her, please." Men saw the scrubs, assumed savior complex, then bolted when her schedule trumped date nights. But tonight's match, Luca, 40s, Italian roots, loves family, sounded steady, no games. She spritzed vanilla perfume, the scent a soft rebellion against the bleach that clung to her skin. Her phone buzzed. "Jess, knock 'em dead, girl. Remember, vulnerability is sexy." Mia rolled her eyes, but her fingers trembled as she typed back. "What if it's just awkward small talk? Then bail, but try, for the heart that keeps giving." Slipping into her coat, Mia stepped into the crisp October evening, Chicago's wind whipping Lake Michigan's chill through the streets. The L train rattled her toward the Gold Coast, past neon signs and couples huddled under umbrellas. Vulnerability. The word sat heavy, like the stethoscope around her neck at work. She'd patched up gangbangers with eyes like storm clouds, whispered comforts to the dying, but who whispered to her? No one since college, when her fiancé bilayed for someone less intense. Steady. That's all she craved, a hand that stayed. The bistro loomed, its windows fogged with warmth. La Stella, all exposed brick and candle flicker. Mia checked her phone, 7:55. Heart pattering like rain on pavement, she pushed through the door, the jazz croon of Ella Fitzgerald wrapping around her like a hug. The hostess smiled. "Thompson party," Mia nodded, scanning the room. A corner booth sat empty, candlelight dancing on white linens. No Luca yet. She slid in, ordering a glass of Chianti to steady her nerves, the wine's tart bloom grounding her. Seconds ticked, 8:05, a text, nothing. She fiddled with her napkin, folding it into a crane, her nervous tick, origami for the anxious. Then the door swung wide. A man entered like he owned the shadows, tall, broad-shouldered in a charcoal suit that screamed tailored power, dark hair silvered at the temples, but it was the quartet trailing him that stopped her breath. 4 little girls, identical as snowflakes, tugging his hands, coats askew, one clutching a stuffed bear like a shield. He scanned the room, eyes locking on hers. Storm clouds indeed, and for a split second Mia's world tilted. Not Luca, but something familiar, like fate had mixed up the cards. He approached, voice low and rumbling like distant thunder. "Evening, you wouldn't happen to be Mia." The girls piled into the booth opposite, a chorus of whispers erupting. "Daddy, she's pretty." Mia's cheeks warmed, napkin crumpling in her fist. Mix-up, or the start of something wildly, unexpectedly right. Mia's napkin crane lay in ruins on the tablecloth, feathers of white linen splayed like a fallen bird. She blinked up at the man, Vincent, her brain supplied from the app's vague profile pic, though this version was sharper, more lived in, like a sketch brought to life by Chicago's grit. His eyes, those storm clouds, held a flicker of apology, but it was the girls who stole the scene. 4 carbon copies of wild curls and gap-toothed grins, clambering into the booth like monkeys claiming a new jungle gym. One knocked over a water glass. It teetered, then righted itself with a slosh that mirrored Mia's pulse. Yeah, Mia," she managed, her voice threading the needle between surprise and that nurse's calm she wore like scrubs. "And you must be Luca." The word felt wrong already, like calling a hurricane by a library book's name. He slid into the seat across from her, the booth groaning under his frame, while the girls wedged in beside him, 2 on each side, a tangle of elbows and whispers. "Vincent," he corrected, low and steady like gravel under tires. "Luca's my middle name. Rosa, my sister, thought it sounded less intimidating." A ghost of a smirk tugged his lip, but his hand rested protectively on the nearest curl-top's shoulder. Ava, Mia guessed from the daredevil spark in her. Eyes, who was already eyeing the bread basket like buried treasure. Before Mia could process, intimidating, what does that even, her phone buzzed in her purse. A text from an unknown number. Sorry, Mia. Work emergency. Rain check. Luca. She stared at the screen, the words blurring into the candle's glow. Ghosted. Again. The familiar sting bloomed in her chest, hot and familiar as an IV burn, but then Sophia, the giggler from the doorway, leaned across the table, her face level with Mia's wineglass. You got red juice. I want some. Daddy, can I, please? It's like princess blood. Vincent's hand shot out, gentle but firm, redirecting the glass. No, Principessa, that's for grown-ups, water for you. But his eyes met Mia's over the chaos, a silent sorry etched in the lines around them, deeper lines than the photo promised, tired, haunted. The waiter hovered, menus trembling in his grip like he sensed the Russo vortex. Table 4, 6, Vincent nodded, resigned, as Isabella piped up. From his left, we want pasta, the wiggly one with the red sauce that squishes. Olivia, clutching her bear, nodded shyly, mumbling, and draw on the paper. Please. Ava, not to be outdone, bounced in her seat. Ice cream after. Chocolate, Daddy, with sprinkles that go crunch crunch. Mia watched it unfold, the booth transforming from elegant nook to pint-sized pandemonium. A crayon rolled off the table, clattering like a dropped scalpel. Sophia snatched a roll from the basket, tearing into it with crumbly glee. Yummy, it's like a cloud that bites back. Laughter bubbled from her, infectious, pulling at Mia's lips despite the ghost text burning a hole in her pocket. These girls, they were a force, unscripted and alive, the kind of energy that filled ER bays on holidays but rarely touched her own quiet nights. Vincent cleared his throat, the menu forgotten. Look, Mia, this wasn't the plan. Sitter bilaid. Last minute. I can call it, get you an Uber. But then Ava toppled sideways in. Her booster hunt, her elbow catching Mia's wineglass. It tipped, a crimson arc splattering across the tablecloth, soaking Vincent's cuff like an accusation. Time slowed. The girls froze, wide-eyed. The waiter gasped. Mia's hand darted out on instinct, steadying the glass mid-fall, her other palm pressing a napkin to the spill before it reached Ava's dress. Whoa there, Speedy, she said softly, her ER reflexes kicking in, no panic, just calm containment. She dabbed at the stain, meeting Ava's gaze. Red's a good color on you, makes you look like a superhero cape. Ava blinked, then grinned, fangs of baby teeth flashing. Superhero me, can I fly now? The others erupted, Sophia clapping, Isabella demanding, me too, me fly, and Vincent, he just watched. His hand paused mid-reach, fingers curling back as if burned. No barked order, no shadowed glare. Just a man, unarmored for a breath, seeing her, really seeing, tend to his storm without flinching. The waiter scurried off for more. Napkins, the jazz swelled, Ella's voice a velvet anchor. Mia glanced up, cheeks flushed from wine or wonder, and caught Vincent's eyes again. Not storm clouds, now something softer, cracking open. You didn't have to stay, he murmured, voice subtext heavy, like the words carried the weight of empty chairs and canceled plans. Most would run. She shrugged, folding a fresh napkin into a quick boat for Olivia's bear to sail on the spill. Running's overrated. Besides, she trailed off, the subtext her own, I've chased enough ghosts. The girls chattered on, a chorus of boats go fast, and Daddy, she makes magic paper. But in the pocket of noise, Mia felt it, the spark, not fireworks but embers. His world, messy and massive, brushing hers. And for the first time in months, she didn't want to stitch it up and walk away. She wanted to stay, right there, in the squish of sauce and the warmth of tiny hands reaching out. Vincent leaned back, cuff forgotten, a rare exhale. Escaping him, welcome to the circus, Mia. Hope you like encores. The laughter died like a candle snuffed, leaving the booth in a hush broken only by the girl's sticky fingers prying at cooling bread rolls. Sophia licked crumbs from her palm, declaring, it tastes like fluffy dirt, more. But Vincent's gaze had shifted, storm clouds rolling back in, shuddering that rare softness. He tugged at his stained cuff, the red bloom now a muddy accusation under the low lights. Mia felt it too, the pull, that dangerous gravity of shared chaos, threatening to upend her careful edges. She busied her hands with the napkin boat, pushing it toward Olivia, who murmured, "Bear likes it, but it leaks." "Look, this was a detour," Vincent said finally, his voice dropping to that gravel timbre, the one that brokered deals in smoke-filled backrooms. He signaled the waiter with a subtle nod, no raised hand, just authority etched in the air. "Pasta for the troops, stat, and the check I'll cover." "Yours, Mia, call it hazard pay." His eyes flicked to hers, subtext thick as fog off the lake. "Don't read into it. This isn't real." The girls didn't notice, Isabella bossing Ava. "You sit still, no more tipping stuff." But Mia did. His walls were rising, brick by invisible brick, built from years of losses she could only guess at. She swallowed the wine's aftertart, her own resistance coiling like a spring. Detour, the word stung, echoing every ER shift where she'd poured herself into strangers, only to watch them wheel away unchanged. Why stay now for a man who looked at her like a temporary bandage? Her phone buzzed again, not Luca, but the hospital. "Double shift tomorrow, flu surge. Be there at 6 a.m. The screen's glow cut through the candle haze, a reminder of her real world. Beeps and blood, not bread crumbs and brown eyes. She should go. Text Jess a bailout emoji, curl up with tea and regret. But her feet stayed planted, traitors to her logic, as Ava tugged her sleeve. "You fix." "Knees, my boo-boo hurts." A scraped knee from playground wars, tiny and insistent. Vincent's phone vibrated then, sharper, a burner buzz he silenced with a thumb, but not before Mia caught the tension rippling his jaw. Frankie, probably, his underboss, always sniffing trouble. A rival crew had been circling shipments, one wrong word, and tonight's whimsy turned target practice. He couldn't afford distractions, not her kindness, not the way she'd steadied his world without flinching. "Girls, eat up," he murmured, voice edged now. "Daddy's got calls after." To Mia, quieter, "You don't owe us the night." She met his gaze, heart clenching at the lie in his casual shrug, the flaw of a man who'd lost too much to lean in. "Maybe I want to," she said, the words slipping out before resistance could cage them. But doubt gnawed. "Want to what? Play house in a storm." The pasta arrived in a clatter of plates, steam curling like unspoken questions, and the booth felt smaller, the air thicker. Isabella slurped a noodle, sauce dribbling. "Slippery snake, catch it." Laughter bubbled again, fragile as the boat on the table. Vincent exhaled, trapped between retreat and the pull he wouldn't name. For now they lingered, denying the spark, but unable to douse it. The pasta twirled like disobedient ribbons on Isabella's fork, sauce flecking her chin as she declared, "It's a worm, a red worm that wiggles." Sophia echoed with a giggle spurt. "Wiggle, wiggle, eat it fast." But the booth's fragile piece shattered with a distant pop-pop, muffled, like firecrackers gone wrong, followed by sirens wailing through the rain-slick streets outside. La Stella's windows rattled, patrons murmuring as phones lit up like fireflies. Vincent's spine went rigid, his fork pausing midair, the burner in his pocket humming alive again. Frankie's text burned through, drive-by on Rush, rivals, lockdown, cops sealing blocks, stay put. "Shit," he muttered under his breath, thumb swiping the screen dark. The waiter hustled over, face ashen. "Police advisory areas cordoned. No one's leaving till they clear it. An hour, maybe two. The bar's open in the house." Murmurs swelled, a couple bolted for the back, but the door stayed barred by blue uniforms flashing lights through the fogged glass. Trapped. Vincent's jaw clenched, fist curling around his napkin, the one Mia had folded into a boat, now sodden and forgot. His world bleeding into hers. The girls sensed it, Olivia's bear hugged tighter. "Daddy," loud booms. "Scary." "Not scary, Kara," he lied, voice a low rumble to mask the storm. But his eyes flicked to Mia, apology and warning tangled in the gray. "Run while you can." She could have feigned a call, slipped to the restroom, vanished into the crowd. Instead, she leaned in, her hand brushing Ava's scraped knee with a gentle press like testing a fever. "Booms are just the city talking loud tonight. Hey, who wants a pasta fort?" her voice, steady as a pulse ox, cut the tension like a scalpel. The girls perked Ava first, eyes wide. Fort with noodles, like a castle, Mia nodded, piling spaghetti strands into lopsided towers on a spare plate, steam rising in herbal curls that smelled of basil and home. Sophia dove in, me build the moat, slurp it's gooey. Isabella bossed the turrets. Higher, don't let the worm escape. Olivia sketched a flag on a napkin scrap. Bears the king. Rower. Laughter bubbled, a shield against the siren's whine, and Vincent watched, chest tight as a wire. These moments, rare, stolen, usually crumbled under his shadows. But Mia, she built with them, her auburn waves falling loose as she mimed a dragon attack with a breadstick. Rower, defend the fort. Subtext hung heavy in the pauses, her glances his way, not pitying but seeing, the weight he carried like a hidden holster. His hand unclenched, brushing hers accidentally over a fallen meatball, the touch electric, warm against the booth's chill leather. You don't have to play hero, he murmured, voice rough with unsaid fears. This life eats light. She met his eyes, freckles dancing in the candle flicker. Who's playing? Sometimes forts are the only thing holding back the rain. Outside, thunder grumbled over the sirens, but inside, the proximity bound them, reluctant threads weaving tighter. For the first time, Vincent felt the isolation crack, Mia's presence a quiet anchor in his endless night. The fort teetered, sauce dripping and imperfect, but it stood, and so did they. The pasta fort stood proud on the plate, a leaning tower of noodles and meatballs, guarded by Olivia's bear on a napkin throne. The sirens outside had dulled to a distant hum, the lockdown stretching like taffy, patrons nursing drinks, whispers weaving through the jazz haze. Ava poked at a turret, declaring, it fell, boom like the loud booms. Sophia nodded, sauce smeared like war paint. We fix it, more worms. But Olivia, the quiet one, fiddled with a chain around her neck, pulling it free. With a soft clink, a locket, silver, heart-shaped, etched with tiny stars, swung like a pendulum, catching the candle's flicker. Mia's breath hitched, identical to hers, the one she'd buried in a drawer after her college breakup, a gift from her ex that she'd kept as a talisman against forgetting how to hope. That's beautiful, she said, voice threading soft, her fingers itching to trace it. Olivia beamed, unclasping it with chubby determination. Mommy's picture inside. She popped it open, revealing a faded photo. Vincent, younger, eyes softer, cradling a newborn bundle. Elena, radiant even in the hospital bed's pallor, her hand on his. Vincent's fork stilled, the air thickening with unsaid rain. He reached for it gently, but his hand trembled, a flicker Mia caught like a pulse jumping under skin. Put it away, Livy, he murmured, but there was no edge, just gravel worn smooth by time. The girls chattered on Isabella, Mommy's stars, shiny, oblivious to the shadow crossing. His face, Mia leaned closer, subtext pulling her like gravity, tell me, or don't, but let me see. He exhaled, slow as a confession, eyes distant on the locket's gleam. Elena, she picked it out, for the girl's birth. Said it'd hold us together when his voice cracked, a hairline fracture, and the flashback hit him unbidden. That April storm 5 years back, hospital room reeking of antiseptic and rain-lashed windows. Elena, pale as the sheets, pressing the locket into his palm as contractions gripped her. For them, Vin, and you, my storm cloud, keep the stars close. The quadruplets came roaring into the world that night, 4 cries like thunder, but Elena's grip slackened by dawn, her last whisper, love fierce, for all of us. He'd clutched that locket through the funeral's black veil, the girls wailing in carriers, his empire's shadows closing in like condolences he couldn't trust. Grief had armored him since deals cut sharper, nights longer, but the locket, a wound that wept. Mia swallowed, her own drawer locket burning in memory, the ex who'd left her for easier skies, the stars mocking her solitude. But Vincent's pain, it mirrored her ER ghosts. I get it, she said quietly, hand hovering near his, not touching but close enough for warmth to bridge. Lost someone, it carves hollows you can't stitch. The girls paused their fortree build, Ava tilting her head, Mommy's with stars now, up high. Vincent nodded, throat bobbing, and Mia seized the thread. Vulnerability for vulnerability. Last week, she confessed, voice low over the jazz swell. I had this kid in the ER. Ate like you girls, car wreck. He fought so hard, tiny fists clenching the rails, eyes begging to fix me. Her fingers twisted the napkin edge, shredding it slowly. I held his hand till the end, whispered stories about forts and superheroes, but he slipped away. Left me with this echo. Why save strangers when your own heart's the one breaking? Subtext laced her words. I've been hollow too, running on fumes. The locket's photo stared back, Alina's smile a ghost of possibility, and Mia felt the mystery coil tighter. Why this man this night? Like fate's cruel joke or a bridge over their separate griefs. Vincent's gaze lifted, storm clouds clearing to something raw, exposed. You stayed for him like you stayed tonight. Not a question, a recognition. His hand closed over the locket, but his pinky brushed hers, deliberate now. The fort teetered, a meatball rolling free, and Sophia snatched it. Mine, it tastes like adventure. Laughter pierced the ache, but the air hummed heavier, truths unveiled, wounds mirrored. Their connection didn't shatter, it deepened, roots tangling in shared soil. Outside, rain pattered the windows, but inside, the hollows felt a fraction less empty. For the first time, Vincent wondered if love could bloom in wreckage. The lockdown siren faded like a sigh, blue lights receding into the drizzle-slick streets as cops waved cars. Through La Stella exhaled, patrons trickling out, the waiter stacking chairs with weary clinks. Vincent pocketed the locket, Olivia's chain vanishing into his shirt like a secret sealed. Air, he said, voice rough but lighter, meeting Mia's eyes with a nod that felt like an invitation. Before the troops conk out, she smiled, gathering crayons and bare. Lead the way, Fort Master. The girls tumbled after, coats zipped crooked, Ava chanting. Outside, puddles splash splash. They spilled onto the Gold Coast sidewalk, Chicago's pulse thrumming, neon from a corner bodega painting the rain in electric blues, the lake's briny tang cutting the exhaust. A block away, Oak Street Beach's edge bled into a pocket park, swings creaking empty, benches slick under sodium lamps. Vincent hoisted Sophia onto his shoulders. Hold tight, monkey, her giggles pealing like bells. Higher, daddy, I'm a bird, tweet tweet. Isabella chased Ava through puddles, boots squelching, splash war. You lose if you get wet, Olivia tugged Mia's hand, shy but sure. Swing, the bear wants to fly too. Mia obliged, pushing gentle arcs, the chain's rusty squeak harmonizing with the girl's squeals. Wind tugged her waves free, vanilla scent mingling with wet earth, a balm after the booth's confessions. Vincent watched from a bench, legs stretched, the scar on his jaw softening in the lamplight. No burner buzz now, just this peace borrowed and bright. He patted the spot beside him, subtext in the gesture, stay close. She did, settling with a sigh, their shoulders brushing like tentative stars aligning. You know, he started, voice low over the splash chorus. Alina used to drag me here after deals gone sideways, said the lake swallowed worries. A chuckle rumbled, self-deprecating. I'd grumble waves don't pay bills, but damn if she wasn't right. His hand found hers on the bench, fingers lacing loose, warm against the chill, not grabbing, offering. Mia's pulse steadied there, her thumb tracing his. Knuckle rough from old fights, but tender now. Sounds like she knew your storms, she murmured. Me, I fix breaks for a living, but tonight, this feels like mending something in me. Humor sparked then, Ava cannonballing a puddle, soaking Isabella. Gotcha, you're a frog now, ribbit-tribbit. Chaos erupted, girls piling on Vincent in a giggling heap. Daddy Frog, hop, he feigned defeat, roaring playfully, scooping them into a muddy huddle. Mia joined, her laugh real and rare, freckles alight. Under the emerging stars, Chicago's sky a velvet scrap, they shared a memory's echo. Alina's lullabies, Mia's childhood forts with her absent dad. Words sparse, implications deep. You're not alone, this could be home. For a breath, it was safety in the swing's sway, kindness in the shared umbrella against drizzle. Vincent's eyes held hers, storm cleared to wonder, didn't expect this. You, Mia squeezed his hand, heart blooming unexpectedly. Healing whispered possible, love's roots tentative but True, but the city hummed on, shadows lengthening, impermanent as starlight on waves. The swing slowed to a creak, girls' giggles fading into yawns as the drizzle thickened to a steady patter, beating on coats like reluctant tears. Vincent's phone shattered the hush, burner buzzing insistent, Frankie's gravel voice crackling through. Boss tail on you. Rivals clock the bistro. Get the girls out now. Safe house 5 minutes. The words landed like lead, yanking Vincent from the bench, hand ripping free of Mia's as if burned. His world, always the intruder, crashed the fragile peace, shadows coiling tight around the park's lamps. Daddy, why run? Ava whimpered, rubbing sleep from her eyes, tiny hand clutching his pant leg. Sophia echoed, voice wobbly, no more splash, it's wet cold. Olivia hugged her bear tighter, mumbling, bear's scared. Isabella, ever the boss, tugged Mia's sleeve. You come too, please. But Vincent's gaze locked on Mia, storm clouds blackening, fear twisting. To fury, she can't be part of this, not her light. He scooped the girls into a frantic huddle, coats flapping like broken wings, his voice a whip crack. Mia, go. Now, this night's a mistake. You think you can waltz into my mess, play mommy for an hour and fix it all. The words sliced, harsher than intended, laced with the terror of losing another light to his darkness. Subtext screamed what his pride choked. I can't watch you break too. But Mia recoiled, freckles paling under the sodium glow, her hand dropping like a severed thread. The warmth from moments ago curdled to ice, her vulnerability, offered raw in confessions and swings, now trampled. A mistake, she echoed, voice fracturing, rain mingling with the sting in her eyes. I stayed, Vincent. Through the chaos, the truths, and that's what you throw back. Her chest heaved, the fixer's heart cracking open, not to heal but to bleed, worthless. Again, chasing ghosts who run. He turned away, herding the girls toward the car idling. At the curb, Frankie's black SUV, headlights slicing the downpour. Just go, he growled over his shoulder, the door slamming like finality. Ava's cry pierced, lady, where go? But the tires peeled out, leaving Mia alone in the puddle-mirrored park, rain soaking her dress, heart a hollow echo. The bond, that tentative bloom of unexpected love, lay shattered, shards reflecting her question, am I ever enough for the mess? Vincent gripped the wheel, girls' whimpers filling the cab, his own throat burning with regret. Lowest point, isolation redoubled, love's whisper drowned in the storm. The safe house loomed on Chicago's outskirts, a nondescript brownstone in Logan Square, its brick facade scarred by years of precautions, the kind Vincent's world demanded. Inside, the air hung heavy with takeout soy and the faint lavender of the girls' bedtime spray. Frankie had posted guards at the doors, shadows melting into the night, but Vincent paced the dim living room like a caged wolf, burner. Silenced, his suit rumpled and cuff still faintly red from the bistro's spill. The girls slept upstairs in a tangle of blankets and bare hugs, their breaths a soft chorus through the monitor. Ava's snuffles, Sophia's mumbled splash. In dreams, innocent anchors pulling at the regret clawing his gut. He sank onto the leather couch, Alina's locket heavy in his palm. Olivia had slipped it to him before lights out, her whisper. For you, Daddy, don't be sad, Storm. The photo inside blurred under his thumb, Alina's smile a ghost rebuke, love fierce. But fierce had cost him her than the light Mia had cracked into his shadows. His words in the park replayed venomous echoes, mistake, play mommy. Pride had armored him, but now it choked. Alone with the choice, retreat to the Empire's cold throne, or chase the warmth he'd shoved away. His fist clenched the locket, knuckles whitening, the scar on his jaw throbbing like a fresh bruise. She's better without this poison, but the hollow yawned. Wider grief's old companion whispering, or are you just scared to try? Vulnerability clawed up, raw and unbidden visions of Mia's freckled laugh, her hand steadying his storm. He stood, decision crystallizing like frost, truth over pride. He grabbed keys, murmuring to the empty room, not again. The engine roared to life, tires cutting black streets toward Mercy Hospital, heart pounding louder than the wiper's slap. Across town, Mia's ER shift blurred into a haze of beeps and bleach. the fluorescent hum a sterile cage against the rain's patter on high windows. She stitched a gash on a drunk driver's arm neat, efficient pulls of thread, but her hands trembled, the needle's glint mocking her steady facade. Mistake. The word festered, a deeper wound than any scalpels. Jess had texted earlier, "You okay? Spill." But Mia had silenced it, focusing on charts on the kid in Bay 3 with a fever, 8 years old, eyes wide like Olivia's. "Fix this, not you." Safety screamed retreat, bolt the heart's door, stick to strangers who didn't shatter it. Her drawer locket waited at home, a talisman of past flights. Why risk another crash? Then the doors whooshed Vincent, drenched and disheveled, scanning the chaos like a man surfacing from depths. Nurses glanced, but he zeroed on her, storm eyes pleading where words failed. Mia froze, suture needle hovering, pulse thundering subtext, run or reach. He approached slow, hands open, no armor. "Mia," one word gravel-cracked, carrying the weight of unsaid storms. She set the needle down, voice a whisper blade. "You don't get to storm in here, not after calling me a whim. I gave you pieces, my breaks, my staying, and you threw them like trash." Her eyes burned, fists clenching at her sides, the choice hers now, pride's wall or heart's truth. He stepped closer, rain pooling at his feet, voice low and laced with raw fracture. "I was wrong, terrified, lost Elena to this life, can't lose you before we even." A pause, silence heavier than confession. "The girls, they asked for you, all night, and me, I can't unsee you in our mess. If you'll have it us, I'm here, no more pushing." His hand extended, palm up, trembling faint, the vulnerability of a king uncrowned. Mia's breath hitched, safety warring with the pull, that unexpected bloom, messy and true. She glanced at the fevered kid, then back, his eyes, not storm but sea, inviting her in. "It's not fixed with sorry," she said, voice softening to the truth's edge. "But I want to try. The chaos, you." Her fingers met his, bridge built in the grip, tense, tentative, but chosen. Outside, rain eased to mist. Inside, the reckoning shifted. Love at last winning the gamble. The safe house loomed on Chicago's outskirts, a nondescript brownstone in Logan Square, its brick facade scarred by years of precautions, the kind Vincent's world demanded. Inside, the air hung heavy with takeout soy and the faint lavender of the girl's bedtime spray. Frankie had posted guards at the doors, shadows melting into the night, but Vincent paced the dim living room like a caged wolf, burner silenced, his suit rumpled and cuff still faintly red from the bistro's spill. The girls slept upstairs in a tangle of blankets and bare hugs, their breaths a soft chorus through the monitor. Ava's snuffles, Sophia's mumbled splash, in dreams. Innocent anchors, pulling at the regret clawing his gut. He sank onto the leather couch, Elena's locket heavy in his palm. Olivia had slipped it to him before lights out, her whisper, "For you, Daddy, don't be sad, Storm." The photo inside blurred under his thumb, Elena's smile a ghost rebuke, love fierce. But fierce had cost him her than the light Mia had cracked into his shadows. His words in the park replayed venomous echoes, mistake, play mommy. Pride had armored him, but now it choked. Alone with the choice, retreat to the Empire's cold throne, or chase the warmth he'd shoved away. His fist clenched the locket, knuckles whitening, the scar on his jaw throbbing like a fresh bruise. She's better without this poison. But the hollow yawned wider, grief's old companion whispering, or are you just scared to try? Vulnerability clawed up, raw and unbidden visions of Mia's freckled laugh, her hand steadying his storm. He stood, decision crystallizing like frost, truth over pride. He grabbed keys, murmuring to the empty room, not again. The engine roared to life, tires cutting black streets toward Mercy Hospital, heart pounding louder than the wiper's slap. Across town, Mia's ER shift blurred into a haze of beeps and bleach, the fluorescent hum a sterile cage against the rain's patter on high windows. She stitched a gash on a drunk driver's arm, neat, efficient pulls of thread, but her hands trembled, the needle's glint mocking her steady facade. Mistake. The word festered, a deeper wound than any scalpels. Jess had texted earlier, "You okay? Spill." But Mia had silenced it, focusing on charts on the kid in Bay 3. Fever 8 years old, eyes wide like Olivia's. Fix this, not you. Safety screamed retreat, bolt the heart's door, stick to strangers who didn't shatter it. Her drawer locket waited at home, a talisman of past flights, why risk another crash? Then the doors whooshed Vincent, drenched and disheveled, scanning the chaos like a man surfacing from depths. Nurses glanced, but he zeroed on her, storm eyes pleading where words failed. Mia froze, suture needle hovering, pulse thundering subtext, run or reach. He approached slowly, hands open, no armor. Mia, one word, gravel cracked, carrying the weight of unsaid storms. She set the needle down, voice a whisper blade. You don't get to storm in here, not after calling me a whim. I gave you pieces, my breaks, my staying, and you threw them like trash. Her eyes burned, fists clenching at her sides, the choice hers now, pride's wall or heart's truth. He stepped closer, rain pooling at his feet, voice low and laced with raw fracture. I was wrong, terrified, lost Elena to this life, can't lose you before we even. A pause, silence heavier than confession. The girls, they asked for you, all night, and me, I can't unsee you in our mess. If you'll have it us, I'm here, no more pushing. His hand extended, palm up, trembling faint, the vulnerability of a king uncrowned. Mia's breath hitched, safety warring with the pull, that unexpected bloom, messy and true. She glanced at the fevered kid, then back, his eyes, not storm but sea, inviting her in. It's not fixed with sorry, she said, voice softening to the truth's edge. But I want to try. The chaos, you. Her fingers met his bridge built in the grip, tense, tentative, but chosen. Outside, rain eased to mist. Inside, the reckoning shifted. Love at last winning the gamble. There it is, our blind date's beautiful wreckage, redeemed in love's victory. Vincent and Mia's unexpected hearts, fully home. What a ride. If this sparked tears or smiles, hit like, subscribe for more emotional epics, and comment that mix-up story. Until next time, keep chasing the messes worth staying for. Smiling face with smiling eyes, what's your final thought on their happily ever after?